Title: The Last Kiss Before Goodbye. The rain was beating hard against the window panes. Lara looked outside, watching how the water fell as if the sky shared her pain. She was. She sat on her sofa, alone, with a cup of coffee in her hands that had already gone cold. Her mind was lost in distant memories, those that belonged to a love that no longer existed. It had been a. It was spring when she met Andrés. The first time their gazes crossed was in a city restaurant. Lara had arrived late, as always, and was looking for a place to sit. Say, when he saw him, a tall man with dark, unkempt hair, with a calm smile that seemed to invite conversation. They didn't know each other, but it seemed that everything in the universe had conspired ready for them to meet. Andres had been different from all the men she had dated. He didn't need to impress or prove anything. He simply existed, and that was enough for Lara. In their first dates, they talked about everything and nothing. They laughed together, they shared dreams, and the connection between them seemed to be something beyond the physical. It was a deep, almost mystical connection. Approx. The months passed, and, without realizing it, Lara's life began to revolve around Andres. She loved him in such a pure way that it sometimes scared her. But he made her feel safe, accepted. He was the type of love that everyone desires, but few experience. However, life had other plans. One day, Andres began to distance himself without explanation. Conversations became shorter, the more strange messages. Lara tried to ignore the signs, to think it was only a stage, a passing phase. But it wasn't. One afternoon, after weeks of silence and empty stares, Andres looked at her, to the eyes, with a profound sadness that she would never forget. Lara, there is something I must tell you, she began with a trembling voice. Lara's heart stopped for a moment, fearing what would come. I can't go on. I can't go on with us. It's not because of you, it's because of me. Andres's voice broke, and the words came out as if each one cost him an effort. I've changed, and I don't know if I can be the man you deserve. Lara didn't know how to respond. Everything inside her screamed at her to stop him, to make him come back. But something in his gaze told her that he had already made his decision. Silent Ios had arrived, and no matter how much she wanted to fight for him, there was no way to avoid it. That same night, Andres left her life, leaving a deep void that Lara never imagined that could exist. She tried to fill that void with work, with friends, with distractions, but nothing made her feel complete. Every corner of her life reminded her of him. Months passed, and although her wounds began to heal, but the pain remained. Every time she saw something that belonged to both of them, like the book Andres had given her or the song they always danced to, a tear fell, a not being able to avoid it. But with time, she began to learn to live with the absence. One day, in the middle of all that emotional chaos, Lara decided that it was time to take a step forward. She needed to find peace with herself, without depending on a relationship that no longer existed. She left behind the memories of Andres, not because she wanted to forget him, but because she understood that love, however deep it has been, it doesn't always have to be forever. Sometimes, loves arrive to teach us lessons, not to stay with us for a lifetime. A year later, Lara was in a different place. She had begun to write, to paint, to travel more. His life, although marked by pain, was also full of new beginnings. He had realized that love does not always have to be eternal to be significant. Significant. One afternoon, while walking through the park, he saw someone familiar in the crowd. His heart leaped in his chest. It was Andres. He was standing by the lake, looking at the water, as I hoped that something would change. She didn't know if she should approach, but something inside her told her to. With firm steps, she approached him. When he saw her, his eyes filled with surprise. El Llego of a type of sadness, as if time and space had not been enough to erase what had been between them. Lara, he said, almost whispering. Lara looked at him for a moment before responding. His eyes shone, but not with sadness. It was a mixture of contained emotion, of memories, but also of acceptance. Love had not gone away, but it had changed. It no longer hurt. Andres, how good to see you. His voice sounded calm, serene. Life goes on, doesn't it? He nodded, with a nostalgic smile. The connection between them was still there, but it was no longer the same. It was a kind of affection, maduro, like two souls that crossed paths once and, although they went their separate ways, never forgot what they experienced. I will always remember you, Lara sighed Andres, looking into her eyes with an intensity that they had not disappeared. Me neither, Andres. And sometimes that is enough. They remained silent, observing the lake without needing words. At that moment, both understood that love it always has to be forever to be true. Sometimes, all it takes is a goodbye to be able to move on. Lara walked away slowly, with a lighter heart than ever, knowing what he had left behind a part of his life to embrace everything that the future had to offer. And although he did not know what would come next, at least he had the certainty that, in the end, everything that he had living with Andres was worth it anyway. Subscribe and comment end.